Good afternoon, July the 16th, 5:23 in the afternoon. Will Parkinson, Mike Giardi. This is the All 32 pod. Of course, a proud member of the CLNS Media Network, brought to you by the Prizepicks, the North America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Download today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 when you play 5 Prizepicks run your game. I'm laughing at myself because I screwed up the intro off the top and had to do it again. And then I almost screwed up the intro again by saying the wrong date. So I'm really locked in for this. But Will, before we get into our AFC West preview, as we continue to preview the divisions around the league, obviously some big news coming out of Florham Park this week. First, it was Garrett Wilson getting the massive extension. Then it was Sauce Gardner. You predicted this months and months ago. And to me, Will, all I can think of being on the outside looking in is, are the Jets finally getting it right? Are they finally making sense? Are they finally building up their core the right way?
Yeah, as usual, I'm going to take a victory lap here. No one else in March and April was saying it. Or people were saying it. I should take it back. People were saying it, but, hey, Garrett maybe and Sauce probably. I was told, I think I said it on this show, 90 to 95% chance both are done. Backdating, I think I tweeted in April. I think April 5th to be exact on my show. And, a lot of people are, hey, Garrett, is Garrett going to sign? Is he not? Should he wait? Sauce is off a little bit of a down year. Should the Jets do it? There was a lot of questions. And new regime, we don't really know how they're going to operate, right? Woody in the past has been an owner that is not willing to be proactive. He wants the market set, and then he'll go from there. The Jets haven't really had to extend in big money terms of cornerback since Darrelle Revis. They certainly have not had to extend their receiver on big money. I actually I don't remember the last, Quincy Enunwa got like 4 for 36 and before 2019. Before that, Brandon Marshall was on the two, had some big money. Santonio Holmes, maybe. I think he was 4 for 40 back in the 2011 season. So, and just thinking about how long ago we're talking here. So, yeah, I think this is a great sign for the Jets. Now, they got to play well. The Jets got to win some games, right? At the end of the day, that's what matters. And that's what a lot of fans have given me pushback and a lot of others that have been kind of not championing the deal, whatever you like, saying it's a great move, I think, they got ahead of it, right? Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner both have 2 years remaining on their deals. So this is going to be a 6-year commitment. In reality, 29 and 30, in the contract, they'll be 28 and 29 at that time. These guys are still 24 years old, Mike.
Yeah.
Both positions, I think I think everyone can comfortably say 25 to 29 is roughly your peak of peak powers. Some guys can play well into their 30s, some guys can't. So for both parties, I think this is their first of 2 big deals, and they'll have in their career. I think if you're the Jets, you get 2 years of very, very good money the next 2 years, and then 2 years where they can backload these contracts. The reason this makes so much sense to me, getting them done now. Unless Justin Fields has a Baker, even a Darnold year, are we sure that's going to convince them enough? They're drafting a rookie quarterback next year, which means they're not going to be paying jack bleep to that quarterback, right? And the Patriots fans are witnessing this now. Washington, the Bengals just went through this, and many other teams. So you can afford to pay guys. And Sauce, yes, the Texans kind of messed around with the market, and that's why it's 30.1 as opposed to maybe it would have been 26.1 or 26.2. I think Ramsey's at 26.1 now, or 26.2 after he got a 100K bump to make him like number 2, which whatever. Me and Mike are not only proverbial rolling our eyes, we are currently actually rolling our eyes. But I think the Sauce deal was a no-brainer. He's a 2-time All-Pro. He's a Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's 24 years old. He's a premium position, face of the franchise, all those things. And if he had a great year this year, which I expect him to, he's a 3-time All-Pro. Mike, what's he costing you? 35?
Yep.
Cap's going up. It's going to be well over $300 million next year. And we've talked a bunch about it's okay to pay guys. This is the reason you draft guys in the top 10 is so you can pay them. From a Garrett Wilson perspective, I actually think this is a great win for the Jets. Garrett Wilson very, very likely will probably be a 1,400-yard receiver this year. Probably will be a Pro Bowler. Maybe he's an All-Pro. Who knows? He's, in my opinion, a top 10 guy. He's maybe 9 or 10, but I think he's in that top 10. He's 24. He's the least diva receiver probably in the league. This guy went through a full almost trade request, then contract extension. Didn't say a word. There was no drama. There was no nothing. It was just like, my people are going to handle it. We're going to keep it internal. I'm not going to tweet. I'm not going to do the eye emojis and the quotes and the Bible verses and the whole thing, which we've seen from all these receivers across the league, even when they're winning, A.J. Brown. So to give Garrett credit, he handled this like an absolute pro. Genuinely one of the better dudes in the league. Like, I can't say enough good things about him. And for the Jets, Garrett Wilson, 6 years, he's going to be $25 million a year for the next 6 years if you average it out. Mike, like, that puts him in the class of like a top 20 paid receiver. I mean, this is
right.
It's just really good business is the point of it here. And the Jets have never done this. They're not proactive ever. They're slow. Their Cowboys fans are probably like, yeah, I know. It's just, I wish we would have gotten proactive with CD and what could happen? You just don't want that situation. So Mike, I guess I'd ask you, A, what was your impression kind of from the outside as other than did they get this right? And B, this kind of affects the Patriots, in my opinion, because the next corners to get paid are going to be Devin Witherspoon, Christian Gonzalez. Those are the two names. Tariq Woolen doesn't come to mind personally, but he seems to think so. So how does this maybe affect the Patriots, in a year's time?
Well, it's very interesting, too, that you bring this up because that's one of the first things, of course, where my mind went was, okay, if Gonzalez repeats the type of year he had last year, he's rewriting the cornerback market in the upcoming offseason. The Patriots have been sort of at times, and again, different regime, but same owner, where they've sort of been reluctant at times to sort of, hey, get ahead of it and do it now. Christian Barmore, recently last year, they did that. He was, of course, a second-round pick, and they sort of jumped the line on that one and got a deal done. And then, obviously, the unfortunate thing happened with his the blood clots. And knock on wood, everything's going to be fine this year for him health-wise as he participated during all the off-season stuff. But if Gonzalez repeats his success, holy crap, what are we talking about? Are we talking 33, 34? Because, as we know, the cap continues to go up. As we know, you can make the cap do whatever you want to do. I'm thinking, they put him in a great position this year because they have upgraded the talent around him, right? They hopefully have a healthy Barmore. They add Milton Williams to that. That should take some heat off of Keon White coming off the outside. You have Carlton Davis now. They sign in free agency to a pretty healthy deal for this year and really for next. But okay, now you have a real player next to him, not sort of trying to cobble it together as they've done the last couple seasons. So,
if Barmore's the guy we thought, right? Would you say he's as good, if not better than Milton Williams?
Yes, I'd say he's better.
Because as much as people probably rolled their eyes at the Barmore contract now, getting ahead of it, he's really got 2 years left at very, very controllable money for a guy of his stature and talent. When you get to free agency, when you get to deadlines for extensions, when you get to the point where, you got to get off the pot if you're not going to, as we know, we're not necessarily a cursing podcast here, so I'm going to Milt Williams next year is a $30 million cap hit. Yeah. Christian Barmore 17, and they'll be the same age, and he'll be in year 3 of his deal because you're just proactive. I know they're different things. My point being, to your point, getting these extensions done. If no one knows you better than the team you're with.
Yep.
Barmore, Gonzalez, who has better medicals on Gonzalez than the Patriots? They've had him in the building. They've seen him get hurt, not hurt. So, yeah, it's 30.1 this year. The cap will go up. If I had to guess, if they don't beat him to the market, I would say what's Gonzalez looking at? 4 for 130, right? Sauce is 4 for 120. You're probably looking at inflation plus if he has another good year.
Yep.
You don't want Witherspoon to get extended for it's interesting how it's a ripple effect, right? And the other way, and this could affect the Patriots as well, and other teams that are looking for a receiver. Drake London, Puka Nacua, Terry McLaurin, who we've talked a lot about. Mm-hmm. The Jets, I think I said it on this show 2 weeks ago, the Jets cannot let Terry McLaurin get paid first because McLaurin's a better, has a more established track record in the league. He's obviously, he's 6 years older, but
right.
McLaurin's kind of a similar tier to Garrett. I would say Garrett's got a higher trajectory, but similar tier at the moment. Terry's probably going to get 33 now. Again, it's $500,000 and you can roll your eyes, but over time, that stuff adds up. That's another rookie on your roster. You don't have, I don't know. I think it's good business to start getting ahead on these things.
It totally is. And now
Eagles, right? We see with the Eagles all the time. They get ahead of these things.
Bingo. And it makes a big difference because, or you do a contract like the Bills have done with Josh Allen, where it's hey, this number is huge, but they have these
Yeah,
built-in
when we
things
looked
where
at it, we're like, holy crap, that's a lot of money. Now it's like Josh is like the most underpaid player in the league.
right. And but they also wrote into the contract, like, all right, we're going to convert, like, he knew all along, like, all right, this number is going to get converted in year 3 to this.
Each year, it's like, oh, magically they've restructured 39 of 40 on his contract.
Boom, they just found $20 million worth of cap space. Patriots, by the way, just, they have a ton of cap space this year. My expectation is, even though there are some names out there that they've been linked to, or mostly by the fans, less so from actual reporting, is that my understanding is they want to roll most, if not all of this over to next year, because currently next year's cap, they would be over the cap when the offseason started. So you roll over this money, gives you that cushion. Then you've built in cushion for Gonzalez in a contract. Maybe you're reworking some other deals, or some other players have jumped to the forefront and you're looking at extensions. They could also do other things, like if Mike Onwenu plays like he did last year, maybe Mike Onwenu is gone, right? Big Mike is gone. They don't want that to happen, right? I think they'd be pretty happy paying him whatever the number is, 18, 20 million, to get the player that we've seen in previous years back this year. But it is just sort of funny how you have to work that process out, and the smart ones stay ahead of it.
I just want to say one thing real quick before we transition to AFC West. We talked a lot about Woody Johnson and the articles that came out, and I think everyone around the league is very aware.
Yep.
Not only where the Jets finished in terms of they sucked last year, and they've been pretty bad for a while, but Woody, I think everyone was like, please just stay out of the way and just hire the right guy and get out of the way. And not only has he done that, and again, Aaron Glenn's got to win football games. I can't quantify enough or qualify enough. Like, everything has been great, but he's got to win football games. But again, he just dished out what, 180 million in guarantees and cash in a 24-hour period to potential superstar or current superstar level players. He's been top 5 in cash spending, and this roster hasn't produced. He fired the coach early, the GM early. Like, he's done a lot of eating money. Mm-hmm. And I'm not crying poor for billionaires. I'm not in any way, but
he's doing just fine.
He's doing fine, but at the same time, like, these guys still got to spend. We've seen it in the past. We talked about with the Crafts and a lot of these different owners where, the Steinbrenners, it's like they spend a lot of money, but you're always like, hey, man, like, you're rolling in cash, like a little extra money to this guy, a little extra money to this guy. To hire Glenn, stay the F out of the way, and Glenn convincing Garrett Wilson, who 8 quarterbacks, 3 offensive coordinators, I think, 19 total wins in his first 3 years, getting him to extend before he's even coached the game. A lot of credit's due. Sometimes, these owners do a lot of dumb stuff. For once, you won't hear me say it often, I'm giving Woody Johnson some credit here.
Yeah, and lastly, I'll just say this about Garrett Wilson. It was the Zach Wilson get broken by the Patriots in Gillette Stadium. I stood in front of Garrett Wilson when he was just like, this has to stop happening. The give a bleep meter from Garrett Wilson is high. And that's, sometimes that can be misguided. But to your point, kept his mouth shut about the contract, kept his mouth shut on the Twitter machine. Like, there's none of that stuff has happened. And now he gets rewarded for a job well done. And yeah, you're right. 9th, 10th best receiver in the league. But at his age, if he gets the quarterback play, who knows how high he can climb. All right, before we get to the AFC West preview, a reminder, this program brought to you by Prizepicks. And guess what? Baseball is about to be back. Yeah, we had the All-Star, the Home Run Derby, and all that nonsense. But now, actual games. Prizepicks, great way to get involved with real money sports action, daily fantasy sports. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players, up to 6, to win up to 2,000 times your cash. You heard me right, 2,000 times your cash. You can cross sports with baseball, get the women's basketball going crazy, soccer as well, all kinds of stuff. And then before you know it, we'll have preseason football, regular football. You can jump right in. So just download the app, use the code CLNS to get 50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup, which you don't have to win. Again, download the app today, use the code CLNS to get 50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prizepicks, run your game. As we did with the NFC West, we will go just by order of finish last year. And that means that the Kansas City Chiefs, at 15-2 last year, will be the first team we talk about in the AFC West. They were 8th in total DVOA last year, 8th on offense, 12th on defense, 12th on special teams. As always, we'll do what I like, what I don't like, better or worse, and then an X-Factor as well. What I like, they have two of the best players on the planet, one on each side of the ball. Patrick Mahomes is, even though he was fourth on my quarterback list, he's still awesome, and he could easily reclaim the number one spot on my list before all said and done. We know he's elite. We know that he has done a good job of elevating some of the parts around him as they've been stripped away because of trades, cap issues, etc., injury. And then, of course, Chris Jones on the other side. Now, Chris Jones is 30-ish, and you start to wonder, can he continue to be this dominant force? His sack numbers came down last year, but his pressure numbers were the same. He's still a monster. Maybe they spot him a little bit more this year, Will. I don't know. It's hard to, because he's so damn good and he's so capable of taking over games, and he's done that in some of the biggest games. And then quickly, I obviously like the organizational structure. Veach has been aggressive, done the right things. They've stayed ahead of the game in terms of contracts as well. Andy Reid's a damn good coach. Maybe gotten in his own way a little bit here offensively at times, but still, I'm nitpicking. And then, of course, Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator. He's awesome. He's been awesome. He's one of the best to ever do it. And so that I know I've got this player, and then I have this structure, I feel real good if I'm a Chiefs fan going into the season.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think what you like is the revenge factor that the Tom Brady, no one beats me. This is what's going to happen. If you remember, obviously you do remember, they lose to the Giants, and if the ACL, happens, and then it was like 15-1, 14-2, and that's what happens. So I think you love the fact that they have Patrick Mahomes. They have another year of Chris Jones, as you mentioned. Kelsey doesn't retire; he comes back, and I like drafting Josh Simmons, who we both love. I think I don't know what we're going to get from Rashee Rice, and we don't know what the legal stuff, what's going to ever transpire there, because whatever. Conveniently, that got pushed off a year, even though he was arrested like 12 times. But point being, like, getting him back, I feel like their best offensive player 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl, and having him back. And again, I don't know what he's going to look like off the knee, but you expect him to be pretty close to the same player. And left tackle was an issue last year. I think the offensive line as a whole. I also like just running this defensive core back in a lot of ways. I think, another year of George Karlaftis, who looks like he might be getting extended. He's a guy who's progressively gotten better each year, really good against the run, stout player. I think, he's going to be just a consistent 10, 11 sack guy for the rest of his career. You love to see that. Again, I like that they got Trey Smith locked up long-term. I like that they got Creeve Humphrey locked up long-term. Like, there's a really nice core there. McDuffie was the other name I did not mention. That's going to be paid as a corner. I should have mentioned him. That's my fault there.
Player,
yep. He's a little different because he's probably better as a slot guy. So is his deal kind of come in and like in between? Michael Carter was the highest paid at 3 for $30. Obviously, Sauce is $30 a year, so maybe he's a $20 a year guy. I don't know. Point being, you have Andy Reid, you have Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones. The core of this roster is still really good. I'll start with what I don't like. I sent a Canadian there for a second.
It did a little bit.
That was really weird. I don't know what just
organization.
Happened. I had a full stroke. I like the Jalen Royals pick, by the way. Later in the draft, I thought that was a nice, just Chiefsy ad. What I don't like is, I don't know if I still think they're like. I feel like, are they going to rely on the same kind of dark arts, kind of crappy walk back into the playoffs, back into the AFC Championship? Again, you can look at it two ways, right? We talk about this. I used to talk about this with the 90s Yankees. It's like, oh, they got so lucky on the Mayer home run ball. And it's like, you kind of make your own luck when you're good. The Patriots, I'm sure, dealt with this all the time. And the Warriors did this, the Bulls, they got this call, I get it. It's very frustrating. And the Chiefs certainly are beneficiaries of a quick whistle one way and a not so quick whistle the other way. But I just don't think they were very good last year. I don't think they were bad. I don't think they were not deserving of being in the playoffs, but there's a lot of like crap that went on. The Broncos game at home comes to mind as like, what do we do? Like, how does this happen? I say all that to say, like, Chris Jones is a year older. And I'm talking to both sides of my mouth, but I think it's very similar to the Rams, where there is a really fine line with this team because of where they are in their process. They've rebuilt a lot of guys, but they're starting to have to pay people again, and you go through that cycle. And and different things like that. And if Josh Simmons isn't ready, Jalen Moore's like, you're going to go 17 and just hope Jalen Moore's going to do it, and be the guy for you. Or what if Rashee Rice isn't quite the same guy and Hollywood Brown's not really actually ever healthy? And it's like, we're kind of the same offense that became quite predictable last year. We saw when Pacheco went down, they didn't really run the football very well. So I always wonder a little bit, the longer you get into a dynasty, and I think they've been pretty damn close to being one, it kind of just starts to be like, how do you rev yourself up another year and hope that everyone's healthy, and especially the older guys, where this division's really good, Mike, and we're going to talk about a couple of these teams here that all four feel like they could be playoff teams. And when the division's really good and we get in 17 really good Travis Kelce games, and we get in like 4.5 and a bunch of games where he's like, he's fine. He's and no disrespect to him. And I don't know, I just keep looking at it and going, I like a lot of this team. And I most like the head coach and the quarterback and just the winning mentality. But Chris Jones isn't getting younger. If anything, I think he's not play after play the best defensive tackle. I think when he is revved up and ready to go, he can still be the biggest game wrecker in the sport. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense, Mike, but I worry a little that like relying on a rookie left tackle who we loved him. We and you both said like we could have taken him 4. There's a big risk, and there's a reason he fell that far, right? I don't know. I just am don't love the Chiefs. I think they're good. I think they'll be a playoff team. So I don't know. I guess I'm down on them, but not like out of the playoffs down.
Right. It
was the same time last year where I was like, I don't know, Mike, the sniff test isn't passing. I ended up being right, but not. I was not actually right. I said they'd be 10 wins, but point being, sometimes it does fall apart after a long time where it's like hard to get back up on that mountain.
Yeah, for me, what I don't like is I think it's become harder for them to play offense because they lack the explosives. I mean, think about Mahomes, the early part of this run where, whether it was Tyreek or even Travis, like Mecole Hardman, like the ability to get over the top of you and create huge plays. They've now become sort of a dink and dunk, and that's part because of personnel and part some of the just heavy RPO stuff that they've done. But so, I know they felt like Rashee Rice was trending to be a top 10 receiver. Again, you've got the off-field stuff. You've got the rehab from the leg. If he comes back and he's that kind of player, then maybe you do have a little bit more of that explosive. You mentioned Hollywood Brown barely played last year until the playoffs because of the injury to his shoulder. Is he always hurt, or is he going to be a big play threat for them down the field? And then Travis Kelce, like he's not Travis Kelce anymore, and he couldn't dial it up the way he did 2 years prior in the playoffs.
Is he Bucks Gronk at this point? Is that kind of his best comp?
That might be his best comp where, you're best suited where he's 45 catches, but you're hoping in the big moments he still knows how to get open because of that relationship. My other part is just the O-line. They definitely addressed it. You mentioned Moore drafting Simmons in the first round, but did they fix it? I don't know that they necessarily fixed it. We'll see, right?
Dressing and fixing it are very different.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I understand the moving of Tooney because you decided, hey, we're going to pay Trey Smith, who's 8-9 years younger than Joe. Joe's still a regular football player, so you weakened yourself a little bit there in the short term, and that would be my X factor is just their left tackle. Is it Moore? Is it Simmons? Do they end up with Morris? They have Sua Matia, who played there last year, was a disaster. The plan is for him to play left guard and replace Tooney. But again, if things go crazy, who knows what happens, and maybe he slides back out there. But solidify that because 34% of Pat Mahomes' dropbacks last year, he was pressured. That's the highest rate of his career on dropbacks. So the offensive line, combined with the lack of weapons, has proven to be a problem. Here's what I think. I think their record is going to be obviously worse than last year. 15-2 is 15-2. But there is the possibility that they are a better football team when all is said and done. Rice, a couple of these other pieces stay together. I really like the linebacker group. Keeping Nick Bolton, I thought, made a lot of sense. Leo Chenal. So to me, I don't know. We'll see. I think lower win total, but they could very well be back in the AFC Championship game, which seems to be a birthright for that football team with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. Let's go on to the next one. That is the Los Angeles Chargers. They were 11-6 last year, 9th in DVOA, total DVOA, 12th on offense, 9th on defense. What I like, look, Justin Herbert's good. Maybe he's not great yet. We're still sort of waiting for that moment, But last year, first year under Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh, 23 touchdown passes, 3 picks with, I think, a subpar group of weapons on the outside, a receiver, a tight end. So to me, that says a lot about the player that he was able to sort of cobble that together when you're throwing to Quentin Johnston, who you don't know whether he's going to catch it or not still after a couple of years in the league. And I like the combination of Harbaugh and Jesse Minter, who he brought along with him, and even Roman to a degree. I think there's a ceiling to Roman's offenses. I think Baltimore figured that out. I think the Chargers will find that out as well. But at least there is head coach knows his coordinators very well, trusts his coordinators, knows what they do, don't do, what buttons he has to push. So to me, Minter's probably going to be a head coach next year if they have another replicate this sort of year. So to me, a real good organizational structure at the top from the coaching and coordinator positions, which, by the way, is really kind of this entire division, isn't it? Like you feel really good about head coaches and coordinators in this group.
Yeah, I like this group a lot. I'm not sure if I'm there yet to pick them as the winner of the division, but I'm also not sure I'm not.
You. I can't go there, but go ahead.
I was really high on them last year. I picked them to be a playoff team. I was obviously high on the Jets and that botch, but other than that, I think I actually was pretty damn close on the predictions. I think that and the Bengals really, they screwed me, but I like having year 2 Harbaugh. Usually this is when it starts to go. And, they were a playoff team last year. I think they're going to learn from being a playoff team last year where they, fixed the culture. They got tougher, and then the playoffs came, and it was like, this team's not great. Like, they're in the playoffs because of the coach and the quarterback and stuff, but they're not there yet. And I felt like there was moments they were, there was moments they weren't. I think another year, I'd like to see them get more aggressive with Herbert. We've talked about that a ton. We talked about it in the quarterback episode. But generally speaking, like the Becton signing, I don't know if Becton's going to be what he was last year, but if he's anything close, he's an upgrade at right guard. Another year of Joe Alt, I like that. Receiver, I like the Trey Harris move a lot. And I think that, if anything, that's my favorite draft pick they made. And can Trey kind of step in? I think, a little limited in terms of a route tree and different things like that, but every argument could be made. That was a great move. I like that a lot. Mike Williams is already on PUP. I would just not really worry about that unless something changes there. And again, I think they redid that running back room in a nice fashion. I thought Hampton, I don't know if I loved the value of getting him where they did, but again, I think a lot of people liked him in this draft, and it wouldn't have been, it's not like they sat there and they overdrafted him. I just don't know if me and you are quite as high on him as everybody else, but Hampton and Najee in a 2 role under Harbaugh, I feel like I like the fit there. I think his style of running, he's going to be played for a much better offensive line than he's had in Pittsburgh. I think if Najee can get back to just getting downhill and being 4 yards in a cloud of dust, he'll be better for it. I know it's not what people, and he gets away from the hurdling a little bit and trying to stiff arm every linebacker under the sun, as much as it's fun for Kyle on Good Morning Football. I think for a coaching perspective. So again, I like the running back room. I like the Trey Harris edition. I like the idea of another year of this staff. And what I really like is another year of this staff on defense. Again, year 2, when McDonald was in Baltimore, year 2 with Jesse Minter in Michigan, like, it starts to really turn with these staffs in year 2, where it's like establish the culture, get as much out of the juice out of the orange or whatever you want to call it, and then year 2 we go. And this team should have every expectation of being a Super Bowl contender. Do I think they're going to be that good? I'm not sure they're quite there yet. Maybe they're 1 or 2 moves away, but I don't know, man. Like, if they don't make the playoffs, I'd be pretty disappointed. I think that would be rightfully, people would be like, whoa, like, what happened there?
Yeah, here's what I don't like. Red zone issues, 17.7 times, 17 or fewer points last year, 7 times. And then I say, well, did they add enough for playmakers to improve in that regard? And maybe Hampton is what some people think he is, and that's as good as Ashton Genty or something close to it, and they have a little bit more explosion there. But you mentioned Trey Harris. I like Trey Harris. But I think the transition from Ole Miss is going to be difficult. Mike Williams already. They lost Josh Palmer. How many times can you throw to Lab McConkey? He's not the biggest dude. Like, had problems staying healthy last year. He was out there a ton, but like he was beat up. So to me, there's that, the predictability of the Roman offense, which I think sort of that's just been his track record. And then finally, pass rush. I make fun of Joey Bosa because he hasn't been the same player for like the last 3 years, and he's always hurt. But he still had 28 pressures and 13 quarterback hits last year. You've got that. You've got Mac on the other side, another year older. Like, is he capable of doing that again? So
is he going to play every game against the Raiders? Or
yeah, exactly. So I wonder there. My X-Factor, I'll stick on the line of the receivers. Who's the number 2? Because Ladd is the number 1. And I don't know where that puts Ladd if we did the rankings of all the team's number 1 receivers, but like, man, someone's got to step up at 2. And I mean, right now, Johnson's probably at least the most experienced and most capable as a former first-round pick, but yeah. I don't trust him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, what I don't like is I just wish they would have one more body as a pass catcher. I like the Conklin edition. I thought that was a really nice. Yep. Conklin's a really productive player. He's going to give you 50, 500 and 5 touchdowns. Disley and Conklin is a nice combo there. I think, could do some damage, right, and things like that. I just feel like wanted one more piece on each side of the football. I just think they're a guy light. Again, me and you kind of see eye to eye here. The issues will come of what if Trey Harris doesn't take the step and Quentin Johnson's just kind of what he is and Mike Williams is kind of in and out, and it's like, oh man, now we're like really banking on Omari and Hampton being the guy, and like this, Harbaugh's obviously a rotation guy naturally, but yeah, just one more pass rusher, maybe one more DB. I like the RJ Mickens move at towards the end of the draft, but again, like I don't know what you're asking a lot. You're getting a lot out of Kyle Kennard. Like there's guys that you like. The name value is nice, but yeah, Cam Hart in year 2, like you like some of these guys. Me and you liked Cam Hart a lot, a couple of years ago. But again, like would have loved one more pass rusher, would have loved maybe one more DB. And again, receiver, it's a lot of eggs in a basket of a guy who we both really like. And I think a lot of people are going to be like, he's going to have some weeks where, well, this is a weird comp, but not George Pickens in terms of the volatility of, the character and stuff. But some weeks where George Pickens, even year 1, you're like, oh, like Trey Harris could have that. Not DK-ish, but that type of these big splash plays where it's going to be Scott Hansen on red zone and like, oh, Justin Herbert just threw a 60-yard seed to Trey Harris, and look at him, and it's like, why does he only have 12 catches in 6 weeks? That's my point of like, if he's that guy, that's fine. But for them to start competing, Mike, I guess my curiosity with them and the X factor I'll jump to is how aggressive are they going to be in the trade market? Is Ortiz and Harbaugh and these guys, like, are they going to go, let's go for it? Are they willing to say, I don't know, let's use Trey Hendrickson as an example. The Bengals they don't get the deal done. Trey just plays on this year and whatever. They're 4-6 or whatever, 3-6 at the time. And they go, we'll give you our 1. We're going to bring Trey Hendrickson in. We're going to go for it. We feel we're 6-3. We're rolling. Let's go for the division. Like, are they there? Do we think that they're going to be that aggressive? I don't know. I guess that's my X factor is just, you can use Herbert and these different things. But to me, how close do they think they are? Because if they think they're close, if there's an edge rusher,
an opportunity there for sure.
There's going to be an opportunity. There's going to be a receiver. There's going to be somebody out there. And it's like, are you in? Are you kind of in? Because the Chargers always feel like they're in, but they're not. And I just, at some point, it's like, not some point, I know it's year 2 of this regime, but with Herbert, it's not like this isn't a new thing. They've been in the playoffs twice. So I don't know. I hope they go for it. They think they'd be a really fun team to watch, go deep in January. Yeah,
I think they're a playoff team. I could see them with 10 wins because I just think this division is going to be it's going to be brutal. Let me get serious for you for a second. As a parent or a husband or wife, have you ever thought about your future, your family's future, and how to make sure that your family's future is secure if something were to happen to you? That's where life insurance comes in. That's where Ethos comes in. I've said it before. I never really thought about it until I started having kids, and then it was like, man, I got to make sure that I protect my brood here. I got to have my family taken care of, and Ethos is the place to go. It's just an online platform, makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. No complicated process, and nobody likes that. It's 100% online, no medical exam required. That's massive for old guys like me. You never know what they might find. You just answer a few health questions. Get a quote in as little as 10 minutes, and you can get same-day coverage without leaving your house. And pretty much since COVID, I really don't like to leave my house unless it's the game. I'm just putting it out there. Life insurance, more affordable than you think. With Ethos, you can get a free quote and customize a rate that fits your budget. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $2 a day. Ethos is a trustworthy company that disrupts the traditional life insurance industry. As of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 2,400 reviews. So protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/all32. Again, that's Ethos, ethos.com/all32. So both Seattle and Denver were in the mix, right? Seattle. What did I do here? Denver. We want to go Denver. Seattle's in the other. Seattle's in the other conference. Get your head out of here. You know what? What I like for a 10-17, that was the 6th in total DVOA, 16th on offense, 4th on defense. They leaned into the strength, and that is their defense, right? They leaned into that because they should. That team was incredible last year. Some breakout performers. Obviously, Patrick Surtain is the reigning defensive player of the year. Very rare for corners to win it. The last one to win it was Stephon Gilmore in 2018 when the Patriots won the Super Bowl. They turned around. They said, you know what? We're going to sign Drake Greenlaw, who pretty much didn't play last year as he recovered from the Achilles injury with San Francisco, and Hufanga, the hard-hitting safety from San Francisco as well, who's beat up, but when he's out there, he's the difference maker. And then they drafted Jahdae Barron in the first round. So outside corner, maybe nickel corner, but like someone who's very capable of helping that defense, I think helping it right away. And that just gives Vance Joseph, who blitzed the hell out of people, to great success with a variety of different ways to approach it. Just gives them more tools, right? So it's just like, hey, talk about leaning into it. Give this guy more of what he needs. And can they repeat what they did last year? I actually think they can. In fact, I think they could even be better than last year. I know that's considering how good they were.
In the division?
We'll get to that when I get to the things that I don't like, but I like that part of it. I also, I must say, their offensive line, when you have a rookie quarterback, and I lived it here with the Patriots last year, that offensive line was terrible. To Drake's credit, even though there were times where maybe he saw ghosts or was a little bit beat up, like he stood there and took it and made some plays. Bo Nix was living the life back there. He was smoking a cigarette, drinking a cup of coffee. He had all day to throw. They were very good at run blocking. They just didn't, the backs behind him didn't run well, which is why they drafted Harvey in the second round. So I think that offensive line, again, that may not be as sustainable as the defense in terms of there's a little bit more age there, but I really like that group, and I think they deserve to be shouted out. It's Bowles, Meinertz, McGlinchey, Wallenberg, the center. Like those guys did a great job last year. I think really helping to make Bo Nix feel secure and allow Sean Payton to maybe get a little bit more into his bag because, okay, yeah, I have a rookie quarterback who maybe hasn't seen everything he can see, but I know the guys in front of him, they're going to protect him. So to me, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like the offensive line. I like year 2 of your young quarterback, and I'll get to him and kind of the X-Factor portion, obviously. But another year of Sean Payton, this year 3, the groundwork groundwork should be laid here. They got some playoff experience, took their lumps. They got out to the little lead early on. Bo hit I think Mims, for that big touchdown, and then kind of faltered. So love the defense. Love another year of it. Vance Joseph back, obviously, and there was some thought, could he maybe leave for a head coaching gig? And that obviously does not happen. So they made a bunch of additions on the defense to an already really good unit. You expect that unit to be very, very good. There's no reason it shouldn't be. Like unless injuries, but man, that secondary should be, Barron, Surtain, Riley Moss, obviously, Hufanga. That's a really damn good unit.
They have some good young corners too behind Moss to push him, because
really
Moss kind of tailed at the end of the year. So it's like there really is.
They're really good in that secondary.
Yeah, we talk a lot of times when we do these things, you start looking and going like, and look, everybody deals with it, but it's like depth, right? That they have enough depth. There are certain places on this roster where they have loads of depth.
Yeah, I mean, I like the addition, the redoing of the running back room. I think Estime, Harvey, and Dobbins should be enough. I like we both like Harvey a lot. Yeah. I guess getting to what I don't like, this receiver room is still kind of like
first on my list.
It's fine, right? It's fine. It's not bad. It's not like you're sitting there going, "Oh my god, like what is this?" But I'm also like, I don't know. Is Troy Franklin going to take the step? Is Pat Bryant going to be good, in year 2, right, or in year 1? Is Trent Sherfield going to really move you? Yeah. Is Ingram and Troutman enough at tight end? I just think they're a pass catcher short. I don't know what the move would be. There was a lot of like, ooh, they're going to trade Sutton, which was weird because I thought Sutton was really good last year. I don't. They kind of need him, especially the way Bo wants to play football. I don't know.
Like Marvin Mims is a nice player, but Marvin Mims is
player,
more
really
of a
special teamer.
Yeah, I don't want to say he's a little bit more than a gadget player, but he's not a complete receiver. Like there's a lot of bump screen, a lot of like tunnel screens, all those sorts of things with him, ends around and they leaned into it, and he was pretty explosive for them. But like on the whole, he's probably your number 2 receiver, and I don't think that that's good enough.
Yeah, I just think that to me, it really keeps coming back to pass catcher as a whole. There's not much else not to like. The defense is really good. The pass rush is good. The secondary is good. The linebackers should be good. Both coordinators are both talented. It's like, and I guess what the only other thing I don't like, and I guess I'll combine my X factor here, is Bo had a really nice year last year. It's not hating, but we've seen this. Mac Jones comes to mind, and I'm not saying it's the same thing, but I remember rookie year, Mac was like, "Ooh, his arm's a little better than we thought," and wow, Mac's pretty mobile. And there was like this whole like, "Oh wow, maybe he's not at all what we thought," and there isn't a pop gun arm, and it's like, look at this throw he made against the Cowboys one time on a skinny post, and it's like, see, this is what it is. And it kind of got to him. And then year 2, it was like Mac was running around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to do look like he was Michael Vick, like, what do you do? He's grabbing dudes' balls and the whole thing. Like it got very weird and cleating people. It just totally lost. I'm not saying Bo Nix is Mac. Bo Nix is Mac, but there was this expected, the roster's better, so you got to be better. And I just down 7 in Arrowhead, in the Rams and Chargers in SoFi. Not that that's really, a raucous atmosphere, but in Vegas or in Buffalo and in Baltimore, like, is Bo going in there consistently and you're like, hell yeah, man, we got our guy and he's going to be, maybe you are. And maybe I'm sounding like a hater. I just think Bo's a good player. I just don't know if he's at the level. And I just feel like they're going to have to compensate a little bit for the defense is going to have to be extra good. Sean's going to have to be extra on his stuff. Bo's a good player. He's not going to kill you, but I'm wondering at pass catcher and a quarterback, do they have enough? Because I think there's some parts of this that's a Super Bowl caliber team.
Nope.
How could you look at this defense and not think this team could go win a Super Bowl? Like I don't.
Yeah, I wrote simply about Nix, and he was in what I don't like was just how much can he truly improve? Because we've talked about high floor. What's the ceiling? Is it much higher than the floor? And to me, the X factor is Evan Ingram. Their tight end production was the worst in the NFL last year. Evan Ingram is not the same Evan Ingram from his last year with the Giants or what he did in Jacksonville, but he is a significant upgrade over what they currently have on the roster. So if he can manage to stay healthy-ish, because I don't know that he can stay fully healthy-ish, he should give him some more plays at the tight end position that they weren't getting last year. All right, our last team, Vegas here, 4-13, 27th in DVOA, 29th on offense, 18th on defense. It was a full stunk type of situation for that football team, but things are changing. Spytek's the GM. Tom Brady has influence. I don't know where exactly because he says he doesn't, but he does, and who knows? And they talk about it, but they don't talk about it, but whatever. It can't probably hurt to have Tom's eyes on some things. And they went out and hired a real coach in Pete Carroll, who I wasn't sure was going to get another chance. But to me, I like bringing him on board because I think it immediately gives you – he knows what he wants. He knows how to do this. He's had success doing it. He brings them an instant foundation on which to build on. He kept Patrick Graham, who I think is a pretty good defensive coordinator. Wasn't sure that was going to happen. He did. I think that's a plus. And Chip Kelly, we haven't seen him in the NFL for a few years. I know he's going to design a good run game. We'll see what the pass game looks like. And I think that was one of his challenges in previous stops in Philadelphia and San Francisco. But I like Pete first and foremost, really. And I'm going to trust that Pete put good people underneath him. I like Geno. We've talked about it. I think I had him as the 14th rated quarterback. If you told me he was the 10th at the end of the year, yeah. If you told me he was the 16th or 17th, yeah. But I think another one who sort of raises the floor of what you can do. And also, and one of the reasons I've always liked him, and I've talked about this, is that he has balls. He throws the ball. He'll challenge the too high. He'll put throws where other guys just won't do it. And I respect that.
In his career, and it was he learned from his mistakes.
100%. And lastly, I'll just give you youth. Genty, Jack Besh, Brock Bowers, Jackson Powers Johnson, DJ Glaze. Those are all offensive guys. So, you have Max Crosby. I can't not talk about Max Crosby, at least when I talk about strengths, but we all know about him. But I'm saying there's the possibility for a nice young foundation at some of the positions they have, a couple offensive linemen, a couple receivers, certainly potential for a premier tight end. He certainly was in year one. And it's like, okay, well, maybe Geno's only here for a couple of years, but this buys you time to be competitive, develop a guy, find a guy, whatever the case may be. But I think Vegas being 4-13, that's not going to happen this year. I think they're going to be a dangerous football team, especially as the year goes on.
Love Pete Carroll. I'll echo it. I'll keep it short on this one. I'll echo Pete, Geno, just the young core and the veteran core that I was really good in terms of Crosby, Wilkins, Miller. Those guys are all back. There was talk of all those guys getting moved at one point in the offseason.
And Wilkins is a big thing for me because the last report was he's still in a boot, which is kind of crazy based on last year. But if he's back to the player that they signed, the player that he was in Miami, and you put him next to Crosby, Malcolm Kuntz coming back from the torn ACL, which is now a year removed from, that could be a dangerous defensive line.
Love the Jeremy Chin edition. Love the Jermaine Pratt edition. There's a lot to like. So to me, keeping it Mostert, I feel like they just upgraded significantly at a ton of spots. Now, how high their ceiling is, I'm not sure. I think they're a higher floor, and then see what happens with some of these young guys. Yeah, like a lot of what they did, they brought in a guy to, hey, we're going to change the culture, and I'm probably going to be here 3 years max. But the 3 years I'm here, this place is going to change, and it's going to change over. We're going to be a real stable, good organization, new upper management, new leadership, all the way down. But I don't love, I just feel like, I don't know, something's missing. And I know it's like a very generic thing of can't put my finger on it, but is Tyree Wilson ever going to, are we going to get, is it going to be, pass rushers take a while, and he was a raw pass rusher coming out, and these things happen. Does the light come on this year and it's oh, hell yeah, Crosby, Wilkins, and Tyree Wilson, dude, we're cooking with gas now, and Wilkins, and dude, oh man, we're ready to go. And that and corner to me, Mike, are the two. Don't really, Porter pick I liked a lot. He's a Pete Carroll corner to a T. Yep. And again, but rookie corners can be volatile. Sometimes they're Sauce and Gonzalez and Revis and these guys, and other times they're Emmanuel Forbes, right? I'm not saying he's gonna be Emmanuel Forbes. I just mean it's a lot. This division for a rookie corner is tough. I don't love Stokes. I don't know. It doesn't really. It's maybe not my cup of tea personally. So don't love the secondary. Maybe they're one more guy on offense short, but that's not necessarily short, but I just explosively, I guess you're really asking Tucker to be that guy, for you. And maybe Mostert's the home run threat. But again, what's Mostert at this point? It kind of feels like it's how many games you get is a blessing. So I just don't love their ceiling per se. And feel like pass rush at Crosby's amazing. But can you get one other guy to give you legit juice that because Max is going to get doubled and tripled every play. And I don't know, smart offensive coordinators are going to run at Crosby every play and hope they tire him out, even though he's an energizer. But I just feel like, Mike, they're just missing one or two pieces. And I still think they're going to be a potential playoff team. They're going to be much better, I think, even if they go 8-9, the eye test is going to be drastically different. But maybe they're one or two pieces away from being a legit, like, ooh, could they compete for the division? Maybe I'll be wrong, but it just feels like they're veteran coach, veteran quarterback, and like veteran stars and a ton of young talent, which might work. It's just, I don't know if it's this year it's going to click to the point of what they want to be.
Yeah, I would just say that I didn't like they are going to struggle with the verticality element, like Jacoby Myers, Besh. These aren't guys that take tops off defenses. Ken Thornton from Tennessee was their 4th round pick and was getting rave reviews in the spring. And I remind everyone, a lot of people get rave reviews in the spring. They're playing in shorts. But, he's an intriguing guy. Certainly has the physical size and speed to maybe be that guy for them. But that's asking a lot, again, of a 4th round pick. And lack of depth just across the board on this team because of
very top heavy.
Well, and just, like this goes back to just like we're talking 3 or 4 bad drafts in a row. And maybe this is the year of turn. Maybe this group that we're talking about is capable of sort of giving them the energy that they need, and a couple pieces from last year's draft as well. But it's like there was a stretch there for 3 or 4 years where we got nothing. And when you do that, you end up paying the price. You have to go out and spend big money on Wilkins and do these sorts of things and hope you can cobble together something, taking a run at Stokes, hoping that he becomes something that he hasn't been in the league yet. Like that's kind of where they're at. I'm just quickly, X-Factor is Wilkins. Because of that, what I mentioned, the boot, like that concerns the hell out of me because that's a massive investment. And putting him alongside Crosby, now, as you mentioned, if Wilson somehow develops, Kuntz comes back from the injury, like, okay, like we don't have to do anything but rush 4 because we're going to win with 4 a lot. Wilkins isn't back in the middle. He's a really good run player too. Like they're going to struggle. So that to me is the issue with them. And I would just say, I think they're look, they're better. I think they're definitely better.
Maybe worse.
Yeah. I know you really can't be much worse than that. I am a little bit, I'm going to be sad. No Antonio Pierce, no stupid things that he says or does or whatever. His game management situation.
No post meaningless win cigars.
Right. Yeah. Great that you gave the locker room back to the players. You're still not winning. That's going to wrap up this edition of the All 32. A reminder to like, listen, subscribe, tell your friends, do all that sorts of thing. Also, subscribe to the Patriots Press Pass YouTube channel for this show and other great Patriots content as well. And then hit your notifications. So when the new episode drops, you get the message to your computer, your phone, whatever, so you can take part in the process. We appreciate you as always. We will see you again next week.